Hello, welcome to SAFC Fan TV Extra Time, and it does feel like an age since we've done one of these. It's usually like off season, we've got a lot more to talk about with this club, but yeah, I think we ran out of time on Thursday because people were asking about all sorts. Yeah, and what an interesting game the last one was that we commentated on, Conrad, wasn't it? The sleepy performances recently.
We've done it twice now, haven't we? I mean, we won one of them and it was boring, and then one was slightly improved and we lost, but I can't say any of them were classics that'll live long in the memory.
No, definitely. It's not going to really go well for our commentating career because we're like, fell asleep.
We just keep repeating the phrase, back to Dan Ballard.
Back to Ballard. We're going to get T-shirts done. Back to Ballard.
Have to. Yeah, I have to do that.
Yeah, we'll speak to Philly for the off season. Yeah. Get the merchandise ramped up.
Watch him be sold in August.
Yeah. Well, on the Thursday show, everyone started. Like they do. The chat's just like normal chat, and then 2 minutes before you're ready to end, everyone starts asking questions. So we completely ran out of time. But what they were asking about is what players we can keep and who's going to go. And this is the big one. I mean, I think we all have kind of come to terms that Clark's going to go, right?
Yeah, Clark's probably on his way out. But, I mean, I like the idea that maybe he sort of changes his mind and the club actually do sort of go, do you know what? We messed up this last year. Let's give it another go. Offer him a deal, but within that deal is a sort of, you can go at the end of next season if we haven't been promoted for insert figure, and go from that. But
there's no way his agent would let him sign a deal because the amount of money that would be somewhere else.
And but I think that the club would have to break their wage structure, as we've seen for someone like Ross Stewart. They're just not gonna do it. Although it turns out that was probably for the best, considering he didn't even play this season a single minute.
Yeah.
So yes, probably resigned to losing Clark, but then you look at the likes of Patterson, could be on his way out.
There's interest in Patterson. There's interest in Neil.
Yeah. Job has interest as well.
I've not heard a direct rumor, but I've no doubt people are watching Ballard because he's been a standout player for us.
Yeah. I think someone I might have linked, was it West Ham in January, were rumoured to be keeping an eye on him.
There's a few, yeah.
Yeah, and then, like I said, Job is one. I know we sort of all think, he's better here, and he had a bit of a bad spell because, he was playing so much and he needed a rest. However, he has been a good player this season. We can't say that he hasn't been, and it shouldn't correlate. But the better that Jude Bellingham does, the more people go, should we take a risk? Because Sunderland did, and look, he got 7 or 8 goals and he got this many assists and he played this many minutes and he's only 17 and 18.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Riggs, another one that could go now that he's pretty much a first teamer for us, but that's because he can leave before turning on a pro deal, really.
Yeah, but even like last year, United were watching him, weren't they? They were interested in him.
Yeah.
What's going to be left?
Coventry.
What's going to be left?
I know, it's when we're trying to sort of think of like, oh right, who would we bring in? What would we do? And then you're sitting there going, right, that's 2 midfielders, a centre-back. We need a striker anyway. Your left-sided forward's gone.
Rusin wants to go now as well, doesn't he?
Rusin wants to go. The keeper as well. So before we even start looking into plans for our team, we're going to have to rebuild, for our team going forward and what we want to do. You're going to have to suddenly start patching up gaps as well, because I don't see Jensen Seal just slotting in place of Ballard next to 09. I just don't see that as a good option.
You're going to have to change your model, though, aren't you? Because we are losing all the experience.
Even if you can call on Neil's experience for playing for 3 seasons now, Ballard's experience for playing for 2, Jack Clark's experience of playing for 2.5 seasons, Job's not really that experienced. He's only sort of played a season and a half. Patterson 2 seasons.
But it's how key they are to our, you know what I mean? They're massive key players.
They're sort of first teamers, and they're sort of what you'd like to, as a fan, see your club build around them. But I mean, someone like Patterson is probably your best one, or Neil, because you can probably ask a silly price and you'll get it because it's the young English tax that is on sort of every young player at the moment. And weirdly, this is going to sound really bizarre. If Klopp was staying at Liverpool, I would back them more to pick up someone like Dan Neil and actually bring him through and get him playing, because didn't they take that other youngster from us who earlier on in the FA Cup run that they had started playing, and I think he even scored as well. I can't remember his name, but there was always like, oh, they got him from Sunderland when they were in League One, and everyone was like, another Stuart Donald, sell him for 10 grand, and now look at him.
Yeah. I mean, we the model we have, we do tend to make money. The question is, will we reinvest it? It's all right getting 20 million for Jack Clark, but are they going to buy 21 million pound players that we've never heard of?
Yeah, I know, and I mean, for me, I still look at someone like Kiefer Moore and think if he's not going to get a game at Bournemouth, and if they're playing Solanke, they're playing Semedo, they're playing Kluivert, you're sort of going, your game time's limited, and he's done all right at Ipswich, considering he's not even first team there. You sort of go, you could pretty much lead the line for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we could convince him, but I reckon there's probably a bit of wages involved, and he's not going to want to drop a third just to come to us.
But this is the problem, though. But if you sell Ballard, right, let's just say worst case for me, Ballard, Neil, and Clark go. Okay. The money that generates, I'm not saying let's spend 40 million on transfer fees, but surely we can invest 10 million of that into our wage budget.
Potentially, yeah, but I think they like to sort of keep it as is. They must have an idea in mind for what a reasonable wage is in this division, and that's what they stick to. And they'll have one in mind for what the Premier League is.
We're third from the bottom when it comes to wage spending.
I think they're so worried about what happened before with the likes of Dillaboji, Rodwell and Dongs, who just came in and were like, yeah, I want 70 to 80 grand a week, and I'm just not going to try. They're so frightened by the previous two owners that they're just like, we're not even entertaining that. This is it. Take it or leave it.
But let's be real. Our ambition is to get into the Premier League, right?
Our ambition is, as fans and who people support the club, is it their ambition to get in there? Because they kept referring to, what was it, in 5 years, that's the plan to be in the Premier League. We've done 2 now in this division. Are they thinking, well, actually, if we stockpile another season or 2 and then go for it? Whereas if they'd have, I'm not saying, because again, the other way of looking at it is last January, so not 2 months ago, the one a year ago, people had a go at them for not investing in a striker and not going for it, but we were sort of semi out of the playoffs, weren't really in it, and we made it in somehow. Basically, the team spirit, Tony Mowbray's tactics just got us over the line. So once January was out the way, the board and the KLD Speakman could do nothing else to get us into the playoffs, if you know what I mean. It's not like they suddenly went in April, this is going a bit well, should we sell somebody or should we buy somebody in now?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's direct sabotage, but
but of course with hindsight, you look back at that January and you go, you let Ellis Sims go and didn't put up a fight about it. You didn't bring in a second striker behind Stewart and he got injured and out for the season, and then you brought in a Leeds loanee who, granted, didn't score very much, but he actually fit the team in a weird way. And now he's not getting games at Leeds. Maybe we look back there for him to come back, but I don't know. And then this season we thought, this is the time to push on. Look how close you got last season and no one thought we could do it. Right, let's push on. Get another experienced striker in. Obviously, we can't get Ahmad back, but let's get some goals in down the side, some creative flair, get another centre-back in. And they just went down the same route again of going, youth.
I mean,
strikers who've never scored. Yeah.
And that could be a form of sabotage, because let's be honest, if you get into the Premier League, the wages, it's not just a case of a player you sign. Everyone in that team is going to expect a massive wage increase.
Yeah, but they'd probably deserve it if they'd have from League One to the Premiership within consecutive seasons. There was no argument that you're sitting there going, Patrick Roberts on whatever money he was on in League One. Yes, he should be on more if we've flown through 2 divisions, and he's been a direct part of that. Same with Stewart, that he was wanting more money than we were offering. But if we'd have got promoted with him, he would have got that money that we were offering. But then he might have asked for more because he was at a higher level.
Yeah.
At least we're not paying 15k for Bradley Dack. Oh, wait.
I just feel like, I mean, if you look at the Premier League now, the lowest wage budget is Luton Town, which is 24.5 million.
Some of that'll be Barkley and Townsend they've picked
and
up.
obviously they're going down, aren't they? So are Burnley and Sheffield United. To stay up, you're looking at 50 million wage budget.
It depends. They might catch Forest, but
generally, on average, you're going to have to spend 50 million on wages to stay in that league.
And what are we at the moment in the Championship? Sorry,
I can't remember. I did it before.
Something like $1 million or something. I think
it's something ridiculous.
Wasn't a lot.
It was, because we're like the third lowest spend. 2020. Actually, it's quite a high spend for the wages because of 12 million per year. So we only have to times it by 5 to stay in the Premier League.
That's fine. That's your TV money right there, though. You're going up, you're going to get a share. What was it, 100 million, regardless of what happens.
I'm not sure how accurate this is because this says Bradley Dack's getting 18,000 a week.
Probably is. Probably just got a pay rise just for that one game he played.
Yeah, it's just madness when you look at the wage structure. It's just insane, and I don't know how some of these players are staying there. They're definitely not going to stay because
no,
Well,
let's look at that again. So we were talking about the players that might be sold.
Yeah.
Now let's have a look at the players who definitely will not be there. We already know, like Corey Evans won't be getting a new deal. Dack will probably not be getting a new deal. You've got Bairstow who's going back to Chelsea. You've got, who else is sort of in and out of the team with it on there? We said Rusin might be back off somewhere else. Do they look at someone like Huggins to get rid of if he's fit? Because he actually was really good when he came in, but is this 3 seasons of injuries now?
Yeah, but it depends what he's costing us, right? That's going to be the bottom line with this club at the end of the day. If a new deal's only going to cost them $3-4 grand, then they're going to keep him.
Well, that was so that a few weeks ago when we signed Elise to a new deal, that actually really surprised me because he actually had another season anyway.
Yeah,
and I think looking at it, he didn't play more than about 20 games last season. And I don't think he's done the same this season. So he's playing less than half of the games.
Yeah.
And there was a bit of me that was going like, so say if he'd have played all of the games, they wouldn't have got him a new deal. They'd have sold him. So I think they thought there's something there where maybe if we can get him playing, then he's worth more and we can sell him. So let's...
Yeah.
And he's probably thinking, I've not played that much. God, I don't want this deal to run out. I want my money. I'll actually take what they're offering me at Sunderland and actually sort of beneficial.
I found the accurate source that I had originally. 9.5 million we're paying, and it is 15,000 on Dack.
Jesus.
Yeah, Dack gets paid the same as Ballard, and more than Patrick Roberts and Patterson and Sergey.
That's crazy.
Riggs on $1,000.
Well, and you know what? He plays like he deserves Bradley Dack's wage.
Do you know what Dan Neal's on according to this?
Ooh, 6?
1,346.
Has he signed a new deal at all? When did he get his last deal?
That's insane. Callum Styles is $2.5 grand. It's nuts. It's nuts. Anyway, yeah. I don't see us keeping any. If any of these get an offer, a contract offer, there's no chance they're going to renew with us at that price. So, like, Ellis Taylor is going to be out of contract. Callum Styles is only contracted. Did
you see the other day? He said he has no idea if he's even getting offered a permanent deal or not.
I know, that's mad. Yeah, so he's due to go in May. Burstow's obviously going to go. Dack,
Corey
we've
Evans
already
out.
said.
Dack.
Corey Evans, yeah. Bellingham is June 24.
Surely not. We only just signed him.
Says July 23 to June 24 is his contract.
We signed him on a 1-year deal.
Yep. Years remaining one. That's what it says. I don't know, like I say, these are obviously unless you saw the guy's actual contract, but this capology is usually quite accurate. So
I'm gonna have to look up Bellingham's contract.
Yeah.
I know Rick, as we said, Rig is open to leave for anybody because of his age, of course, as well.
Yeah, I mean, technically he's on a 2-year, but like you say, that's kind of irrelevant.
It's before it was a pro deal, though, wasn't it? It was a. Let's have a look. Trying to figure it out on here.
We're back to them. We're back to them episodes of Conrad will Google that for you.
Yeah, well, I think the website I use, the Transfer Market one, actually has like a sort of contract one of when they're.
Yeah, this is what this has got. This capology has gross per week, gross per year, signed, expiration, gross remaining, etc.
Right, I found it. It's just loaded now, so bear with us, listeners and viewers.
Yeah.
Right,
so,
Bellingham contract. Interesting. It doesn't say. Interesting. I didn't know that. That's a sneaky one then, unless it was like. So when he signed, he was 17, so we must be his first pro deal because we had to pay like. But I heard we paid like $3 million to Birmingham for him.
What is that compensation if it's his first pro deal?
I don't know. It will be a pro deal because of his age. But let's have a look here.
If you're not a pro already, you can just sign a contract, right? You don't have to. We don't have to pay the club usually.
No, and even when you go back to our website, when we signed Joe Bellingham, all they put is after featuring at England under-18s earlier this month, the talented midfielder has arrived on Wearside and signed a long-term contract at the club. Doesn't say anything, just says that, and even the ones in the other magazines and newspapers don't refer. Well, actually, one of them says 4 years there, but.
Yeah, I'm happy. We've got Mundell for 5 years. Anyway, yeah.
I mean, Job's probably. I reckon that's a mistake. I think Job's probably a 2 or 3 year, maybe a 4. Yeah. I think he's probably thinking development.
My worry, like I said, I mean, regardless of all that, my worry, like I say, is we are losing what little experience we have, and with this model, we don't like signing experienced players, so we're going to just be left with a youth team.
Let's say so. Clark goes. You put Mundell in. Mundell's played 6 months in. Is it League 1 or League 2? I can't remember which league that Standard was. It Standard Liège that he came from.
Standard Liège, yeah.
Yeah. So he's going to replace Clark on that side, and he's had 6 months with us. Okay. Striker. We still don't have one really. So you've got to get somebody new in, and
we've got Semedo for 5 years. 5 years, yeah, till 2028.
Semedo. Oh, sorry, Hamia. Right, when you say Semedo, I was thinking of the lad from Bournemouth who we got on loan from Bristol City all those years ago.
Yeah,
I was like,
Hamia.
Yes, Hamia. Right, I'm with it. Yeah, well, if he could pull his finger out and get better, then that's fine. You've got Patrick Roberts, who this season hasn't been anywhere near the levels he should be. I know he's been injured for a lot of it, but even before that, he wasn't. So then you look into your midfield and you go, right, Job could potentially have gone. Neil could potentially have gone. So you want Chris Rigg in there for at least one of them, but he could be gone as well.
Ekwa,
do you reckon people are going to bid for him?
No, I'd like to keep him.
Yeah, I think we keep him, but I don't see many people coming for him.
They might have done if he continued the original form, but
yeah, if it was like last season's form, then absolutely.
Kind of wanted all these players to be really shit this last few games, just to put them off.
Centre backs, you've got Sealt and Triantis. I know. Pembele's one that we're going to keep though, and he looks like he's going to be better. And if Alexei Sirkin could just stay fit.
We need 8 signings at least.
Yeah, we need a new team again, don't we? Really?
Yeah.
And even then, the keeper. Are you going to throw that lad in who's been on loan at Darlington? Because you're not going to play Nathan Bishop and you're not going to play Alex Bass.
Well, I think Bishop's the one they're going to try and coach into that position, but I still think we need an experienced keeper to come in and help them with that. But
I see them I see them, if anything, trying to hold on to Patterson for one more year, and then put in that. Is it Matthew Young? Is that what he's called? The one who's on loan at Darlington.
They've only give Patterson a 5-year contract to demand more money for him.
Well, there's that, but I wonder if they would even go, do you know what? Let's throw him in at this championship level, see what happens. That lad who's on loan at Darlington, just because he is highly rated, and I think they're probably thinking, hey, look, there's one for free that we didn't even have to buy at a young age. He's just part of the club anyway, and get him playing.
Well, it's going to boil down to managers at the end of the day, right? Head coaches, and if they come in under the same model, or if they come in and have some sort of say. Yeah. So, I mean, I just mentioned to you before we started the rumours, and Will Still's obviously still the choice for most people. And that says, I read an article today on the Real EFL saying Sunderland received huge boost in managerial hunt. So obviously clickbait to hell. It went straight in there. And
you were like, what's this?
Yeah. And basically the French club are lining up potential replacements for Will Still amid continued speculation that Sunderland will target 31-year-old this summer. What their source is, I'm not sure. It's according to Le Parisien and La Union. So I don't know if they're papers or what. but yeah, so that could be on the cards, and then obviously, then you always want to throw a random legend into the mix. That John O'Shea has now come out on a podcast saying he'd be interested in the job, but you said he doesn't like the model, right?
Yeah, so Wayne sent the clip into our group, and the lady asked him. I can't remember her name. So sorry, it's the lady. The lady asked him.
My lady.
Yeah. She didn't look like one of them two off Little Britain, I'll tell you that now. She asked him, about the Sunderland job and would he be interested, and the headline, which is on all the articles about him wanting it, saying, "Oh, absolutely, I think I'd be extremely interested in being Sunderland manager." And he said he had so ever many years there, and Sam Allardyce, who was on the podcast too, went, "Were you there for that long?" And it was like, you were there with him. Like, what are you talking about? You were there with him at one point.
Sam was on that same podcast on a different episode earlier, and he mentioned the Sunderland job as well.
Yeah, I'd love that. But yeah, and then he went on to say about how he asked Tony Mowbray while he was at Birmingham, when their paths must have crossed at one point, about the Sunderland one. And Mowbray sort of said to him about the model and how it was like it was all young players, no experience, no players that cost a certain amount of money. And he sort of went on to sort of, I'm trying to say it wasn't being negative, but he was sort of saying about how if you're a manager looking to come in and stamp your sort of, not authority, but impression on the team and get them playing your way, and you want to bring a few players in with you that can do this. Him and Sam Allardyce both in the same mindset. If you want to buy somebody who's going to, get this many goals for you, then you want him. You can't just create one out of nowhere and sort of go from it. And they both were agreeing with that philosophy. So I could even see us putting off, like I say, our legends of Sam Allardyce.
But do you not think that's why it needs to change in some way? Because surely, I mean, I thought the blockers for Will Still last time round was because he wants to have his own say in things like that. So if we're going to go for him again, surely we've got to be bending that a bit.
I think he wanted his staff was the issue before, and I don't think in the middle of the season we were willing to pay all of that. But yet, then we brought Michael Beale in, and then we were willing to pay him off 8 weeks later. And he was on a 3.5-year deal. So we'll have laughed all the way to the bank with that one. You almost think, did he come in on purpose to go, watch how quickly I can get sacked here and get all this money? I don't know. I seem to think, I remember reading that he wanted his staff and he wanted the sort of a few players, maybe not loads, but he wanted to be like, we are going to need some experience in that team, and these are the ones. And they were like, well, that's not what we do. and went a bit like when we went for Roy Keane. And I think Keane even sort of said it came down to money, which everyone probably interpreted as him, but he was meaning what money is there available for players and people that I want to bring in. And they were like, what do you mean that you get to do? It's this, we give you the players and you make it work. Whereas Alex Neil was in rebuild career mode from his previous jobs, from Norwich, relegation, and Preston that didn't go too well. I think he even said in Sunderland Till I Die, he was looking for a championship job, but he was willing to take a high-end League One club in the hunt for promotion.
Yeah, but then he did that interview on the EFL debate channel on YouTube. I can't remember the name of the channel. I'm sorry, off the top of my head. I did mention it in a show a while ago, and he said he wanted to stay at Sunderland, and they just got and he said there was zero negotiation on wage at
for
all.
him.
Yeah,
I could understand it. They were like, but it's not. He was in position of needing a job and needing to rebuild his reputation, like we said. So it was a win-win at that point for him. He probably thought, well, it's still money coming. It's either you don't get any money or you can get some money and try and get a better job. I don't know why he thought Stoke was a better job, but hey ho. It didn't work out there. But who's to say that he would have been a success in the Championship for us? He started off well. I'll give him that. He started off really well. But don't forget, when Mowbray came in, we all went, he's not the man for this. And then he got a tune out of that team. But
I wonder what we would have got out of Mowbray if he'd had more say. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not Dak's biggest fan. And obviously he must have had some sort of influence on bringing Dak in. But if one of these managers like that came in as a manager, I just feel like the head coach role is not what an experienced manager can do. It's not their best,
It seems to put people off more than entice them to
surprised.
the job.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Like I tend to read it as when you hear managers talking about the model, it's always in a negative. No manager wants to go in and be putting his reputation on the line week in, week out for somebody else's team.
Yeah.
Or a team that's not his. So if you go in and they go, there's your team, make it work.
Yeah.
It's and you're sitting there going, yeah, but then after a year and a half of it not working, when I get the sack, people blame me.
Yeah,
especially in fact, it's your team.
I mean, especially if rumours are true, and that goes to the extent of, you must play Burstow because we promised Chelsea this, that, and the other, or you must play this player because we've invested in him. If it gets to the point where it's not just here's all your squad, do what you can. It's actually you need to have at least these players playing. It's just ridiculous.
I remember Gary Neville was talking about at Salford that both him, the sporting director, and the manager, and I think there's somebody else involved in it there, they're all on like a transfers committee with each other. So, or chief scout or something like that as well, I think is the other one. And they all come together and discuss targets and stuff like that there. But they're allowed one veto each.
Right.
That they're allowed to say, no, like, we're not doing that because of this reason. So basically, if the chief scout, director of football and the chairman were all like, yeah, this is the one we want, but the manager was like, I don't want him because I worked with him before and he was this much of an issue, or actually he's really not the type of striker that I want, veto. They'd go with it.
Yeah.
Whereas it seems like that would be a better option for us of like, so Speakman, what money do we have available that we could work with? And then you go, okay, right, well, these are the targets I want as opposed to the targets you want. Is there any sort of
middle ground?
Yeah, or actually, the two players you want there, I could make that work with this guy we've already got here. Can we use both that money to get this player?
I want to see if that whiteboard's still there from the documentary.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic's name on.
Yeah.
That's another thing. This is always interesting, and I'm aware we're running out of time, but this has always bothered me for years with Sunderland Football Club, that no matter who the manager is, we always go after the same players. So if you think Gus Poyet got Fabio Borini on loan and tried to get in the summer after, didn't, and lost his job towards the end of the season. Advocat came in. He didn't really want to stay, but we convinced him to stay. Lo and behold, we then signed Fabio Borini. And you're a bit like, did he want that? Or did the club want that?
Yeah.
You then go to the documentary, players on the board. If you actually look at them, there's the one that he came from Liverpool, that Ajario or whatever he was called. Wasn't very good. But he was on the board when they were talking with Simon Grayson about him in the August. And now they didn't get him for whatever reason. But yet in the January, when Chris Coleman was there, who do we bring in? That lad. And you're like, so are you already naming these players before anybody actually wants them? The only one the biggest one was Di Canio when he came in and he got his transfer window. He'd said in an interview afterwards when they were talking about the Bardsley and the John O'Shea thing, he went, I said I wanted a squad of like a spine of English players throughout the team, just because they would get the league, they would get the culture, and that's what I wanted. But they brought in Di Fanti, did he? Who just went and bought everybody out of Europe and then went, there you go, make it work. And it was like, right, like, okay. But again, he was brought in as a coach to sort of get the best out of them.
Yeah. It's definitely, it's probably red flags galore when somebody says Sunderland's come knocking this year. Do you want the job?
To go a different level with it, Martin O'Neill, we've wanted him for years, even before Ellis Short was in. Niall Quinn wanted him. What was the previous chairman before Bobby? Not Bobby.
Before who?
Before Quinn, with Peter Reid. I can't remember his name.
He's just done the autobiography.
That guy. That guy, not Bob Stokoe, but yes, I know that the one that you all know who I'm trying to say, but I can't think of his name right now.
Why can't I?
was talking about Martin O'Neill and places like that. Was talking about David Moyes, and then we never got him. But then further down the line with different chairmen.
I've not finished typing. I was just not finished typing the question, and it came into my head. Bob Murray.
Bob Murray. Like all these managers you then list, and then even another player, McGeady. We wanted him for years. It was always links with getting him from Celtic, links with getting him from Everton, and we never got him. We drop into the Championship, and we sign Aidan McGeady, and you're like, who? Did Simon Grayson want Aidan McGeady? And you just went, oh, stars are aligned, let's get him. Or did you just think, bollocks to what you want, let's just get him anyway?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, there's lots of ones that have always just sat a bit different with me about like, did you actually buy him for the manager?
Yeah, no manager wanted Will Still, let's be honest.
No. Whereas like someone like Sam Allardyce, when he came in, realised we needed a stronger spine of the team in his January, and he brought in Kone, he brought in Kirchhoff, and he brought in some creativity in Kazri, and it was a bit like you could tell they were like Sam Allardyce.
But we've had the most success when we've let a manager do that, right?
Yeah.
You know, we've had success when we've let. I mean, obviously there's been flop signings. All teams have flop signings, but with these head coaches, it's just, I don't know. It's like, always been so underwhelming.
Martin O'Neill's signings weren't great. Don't forget how for an entire season he chased us signing Danny Graham from Swansea, and that didn't work out well. But yeah, he got Stephen Fletcher, Adam Johnson before all that went wrong. But he got those type of players through the door for us as well. Like when we really needed them.
A good manager comes in and he's got a little black book, right? He's got contacts and stuff like that. Was it Keane that said he wanted to sign like some of the ex-Man United players coming in and stuff like that? And they have them contacts. But if you don't have the freedom to do it. He signed
players that he'd played with. So he brought Dwight York in, brought Stan Varga in from Celtic, and he'd been at Sunderland before. Ross Wallace, who he'd had at Celtic, David Connolly at Ireland, Graham Kavanagh at Ireland, Liam Miller, Man United and Ireland, were his first 6 signings, who he played with and knew what he was getting out of them. And then he went, right, I need a new young centre-back, or who was good at Man United? Johnny Evans, right, let's go and get him. Then he went and asked who did he ask? He asked Dwight York for opinions, and he said Stern John. And when they got Stern John in, they went, "Who do you recommend?" They all said Carlos Edwards, and he went, that was where he was like building out from his team, like
and that's what we need at the moment. It'd be
again sidetracked on your actual question, but we've gone down a different route of
Sunderland's
historical transfers and routes that they go. Like,
no, I know, but it's true. But and it's surely that every single fan can see this model's not working to a degree. I mean, I'm not I don't totally hate it, but it feels like a model that should be on the under-21 squad. You know what I mean?
It feels like a model that we should have that isn't to the detriment of the team. So, I would look at it now and go, say, for example, no one buys our players in the summer. I would be like, we don't need a central midfielder. We've got Ekwa, we've got Job, we've got Rigg, we've got Dan Neil. Mm-hmm. Now, they're all 4 young players that we don't want to buy an experienced player to come in and play instead of one of them so that they don't blossom into something and sell on in the future. But then you sit there and you go, okay, well, Luke O'Nine's this old. He's 27, I think, maybe 26. And you sort of go, okay, do we need an experienced centre-back to replace him? Because technically he's a midfielder playing out of position. Like, do we go there? Actually, we don't even have a striker. Well, we have 3 young strikers. They all haven't scored. Should we sign someone on maybe like a 1-year deal, sort of get him in? Do we sign a old number 2 goalie with experience to try and help Patterson push on? Do we now look at Jack Clark's position and go, okay, if Mundell doesn't hit the ground running, shall we buy an experienced winger to come in and out of games to help them? You want someone who enhances the team without taking somebody's position is what you want.
Yeah, it's funny because all I keep thinking of is the Wrexham documentary, which is completely Sunderland unrelated.
Yeah,
but they've done this. They've got Stephen Fletcher. They've signed Stephen Fletcher, and he's older, but he comes in and it's his experience that's the asset.
He's not starting. Like they're playing Ollie Palmer and Mullin.
Yeah, but imagine what he's like on the training ground as an asset. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the same, they brought, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. I was trying to have a quick look, but I can't remember. But they brought in a really good keeper just to finish the season.
Ben Foster.
Ben Foster, that was it.
Yeah.
And it's players like that we're missing. It's maybe not that to that extreme because obviously they're a lot lower down, but they're willing to spend the money on a year to get something out of that season. That's what we need to do.
Yeah.
A
bit like when we bought Zenden in, no one expected him to be a absolute sort of like, he's going to start every single game and when we're going to stop all progress on left midfielders or central midfielders. He was there to be like, in certain games, we're going to need you more than we're going to need Jordan Henderson, who's just broken into the team. So we're going to need you on the training ground. We're going to need you here doing all this. That's why he was club captain, which like, you just got it. Yeah. Lorik Sana in Steve Bruce's first season became captain immediately.
Yeah.
He hadn't even been here, and there was players who had been here, like Bardsley was still here at that point. You had someone like Richardson who's been here as well. Steve Malbronk had been here from the year before. You sort of sitting there going, there was options. Craig Gordon had been here from the year before. And you're like, no, this guy gets it. This guy gets leadership. And he's played in foreign leagues, yes, but he knows this position and knows what a team needs. Let's just give him it.
Yeah.
And he was amazing.
Well, there's going to be loads to debate over the next, 6 months? Because let's face it, our season's ended.
Yes, it has. And I think we're sort of like, I'm trying to think of that. I think it's a Simpsons clip where there's like a dead animal and they're just poking it with a stick, just going, can you just do something? That's pretty much us on our like live commentaries now. We want to just have a game where we just blitz somebody away and just go like, there you go. Like, that's how good we are. Maybe
we'll just drop it and start doing commentary on the ladies or the youth. They seem to do better. It'd be more exciting at least.
Well, I think the ladies team the other day said I don't know what it was they were in, but I don't think they can be either promoted or going for whatever they were going for anymore now. So their season's done as well. So
yeah. It's all done. Listen,
Oh,
Hubble kits are the most exciting thing happening right now.
pretty much. Speaking of kits, we haven't even mentioned our sponsor tonight. We're about to finish.
Yes. Speaking of kits, the sponsor, the 3 in the corner, is not some sort of counter. On my screen, it's that way. But anyway, it's in one of the corners.
Yeah.
That's 3 Retro. If the links will all be in the description. They do all the usual retro kits, like this one, which I'm gonna use my mic. I love the blue one. I want the yellow one as well. But they're currently on sale as well. Some of them
were. Yeah, there was it this one?
Yeah, look at that. I am annoyed that that's on sale because I think I paid 40 quid for that originally. That's horrible. Sorry, sponsor.
It was the shirt you didn't like, not the design, not theirs.
The price is good, and if it's for your collection, that's great. But get down there. Also, an extra 10% off with the code that we've got down there. I'm not
3 Retro 10.
There you go. I was going to say I'm not going to pretend I know it, but there you go. 3 Retro 10. So get your retro kits ready for the start of next season, and hopefully we'll have some retro players signed to go along with them.
You never know.
You never know. I think that's about it.
Right.
So thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Or listening if you're on Spotify. Or wherever.
Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
There you go. We're everywhere now. We're everywhere. And we'll try and get these a bit more regular now that we're coming into transfer rumour central.
And the end of the season.
And the end of the season, yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll say goodbye, Conrad?
Goodbye, everyone. We'll see you on Thursday.
Yes, Thursday. Then Saturday, don't forget the commentaries.
Yes, I've already told the wife that's what we're doing. Well, that's what I'm doing. She's not helping.
Why? It's so exciting.
Yeah. She doesn't even like football at the best of times. I don't think she's going to like watching Sunderland.
Don't sell her on that.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, from us, we'll see you later.
Take care.
Bye.